Now, not a day goes by without something exciting in the news. Civilian spaceflight, vertical lift, drones, electric aviation. It's all happening right now and has been a bright light in some challenging times. There's a lot of opportunity here, not just for business, but for people too. And our next panel today is going to talk about these emerging technologies and what opportunities they might bring for our companies and for people, and particularly how we can ensure that women are at the forefront. Leading our panel today, we have Sharon Hamilton, Head of Industry for A&D Services at SAP. Sharon has a wealth of experiences in aerospace companies, but she's also incredibly humble and is a wonderful supporter to leading ladies and many other causes, including small businesses, wildlife, and supporting people with special needs. Sharon, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for moderating this panel. Over to you.
Fiona, I couldn't be happier to be here today. As you know, I'm a huge fan of this group. I originally attended last year. I mean, look at the numbers. We have over 400 people from our industry, all of the major companies in our industry. I'm so proud to participate and just be a part of it. And I thank everyone for taking their time to spend with us today. As Fiona said, we're going to talk about emerging technologies. It couldn't be more of an exciting time. Everyone touched on the recovery, and that is massive for our customers. And at SAP, we're proud to be part of that, right? We're part of helping our customers recover, helping them integrate innovation into their processes so that they can be ready for the ramp up. Now's the time to adapt. We saw last year, again, the word resilience is coming up. Resilience, agility, adaptability. And right now in this period, while we're in recovery, is a great time to automate processes, integrate innovation, get your folks trained, get your supply chain resiliency up. We talk about that every day, and be ready for that ramp that we know is coming. Like, we know it. I'm hoping it's next year, but we know it's coming, and we want our customers to be ready for it. So I'm super happy to be here. I just want to touch on a couple of things that we've heard the word resilience many, many times. So I'm going to give a shameless plug. We have a dialogue next week on the 30th. We have a leadership lab on resilience and how important it is facing adversity, especially like change that we saw last year. I also wanted to touch back on one of the comments the other leaders made about, being 150% ready for the role that you want. I had the privilege of working for a CEO for 3 years at one of my former companies. And he said, I hire people when they're 65 to 70% ready. I don't want it to be a layup. I don't want it to be easy. I want it to be a stretch assignment so they'll grow. And so I challenge women to really consider, what job would you put yourself up for if you felt that you had an opportunity to learn it and grow and be successful. I also want to take a minute on allyship. Being pro-women does not make us anti-men. I have had wonderful male bosses and mentors and coaches. I still do. And I surround myself with coaches and mentors who, I use the word toss me around, really are hard on me and really challenge me, because that's the way that I learn. And I really, if the folks who said they don't have allies, I really encourage you to reach out. Those times when we're facing challenges and we think it's impossible and we're about to give up, that's when you call your mentors and coaches and allies and get the best advice and get the encouragement to keep going and to persevere and to take those hills, right? It's always about the work, and it's always about people. And people who know me know that my big passion is customers. I always want to be improving customer outcomes and people. I think it's table stakes for a leader to develop, coach, and bring other people along. I had women leaders lift me up. And I am more than happy to make that a major part of my leadership strategy now. And so, kicking off this conversation, I couldn't be more excited to join Dr. Michael Lynn Thomas and Paula Lores, outstanding people in our industry. Really excited to talk with them. They're in the space market. They're also in eVTOL, which is super excited. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely ready for my George Jetson taxi to get out of traffic for life. And exciting thing about that technology is that you see it being leveraged across the industry, right? We see the advancement in electrics. The battery industry is supposed to be $117 billion next year because of this growth. We heard someone earlier talk about sustainable fuels. Unmanned aircraft is increasing 300% over the next 10 years. The number of satellites going from 1,100 to 4,000 in 3 years. So these emerging technologies, the real question is, do they open doors for women? Is it easier for women in a startup company or a small company to get to those senior positions, start at the ground up, and really be part of the team that's driving those companies? So I'd like to introduce Paula Lores. If you could just tell us a little bit about your career and how emerging technologies plays in your life.
Thank you very much, Sharon. It's such a pleasure being here today. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So my name is Paula Lores. I'm a business administrator, and I have a master's degree in aeronautical mechanical engineering. By the way, I was one of the few women at the university at the time. I'm originally from Brazil, but I have been working in aerospace for in supply chain for over 15 years, working at Embraer in Brazil, Bombardier in Montreal, Canada, and Mitsubishi Aircraft in Nagoya, Japan. I have achieved over tens of millions of dollars in savings through my negotiations with suppliers. And currently, I'm working for a company called Eviation Aircraft, a startup that is developing this Alice, the first all-electric commuter aircraft. We are getting ready for our first flight later this year. So if you go to the next slide, please. I just would like to give you, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of explanation around electric aircraft, and I'm going to explain the benefits, main challenges, and opportunities. So electric aircraft is all about it's a sustainable technology, and when you think about sustainable technology, usually you say, okay, it's related to the environment, but it's more than that. It's also financially and socially sustainable technology. So focus on the environment. There are several research that show that aviation is responsible for 3% of the total CO2 emissions induced by humans. So if you start using electric aircraft, for example, which is a green technology, you're going to have zero emission. And also there are other benefits. One of them is the low noise. And talking about the financial side of the electrical aircraft, the electricity, it's much cheaper than the jet fuel. And this results in low operating costs for the airlines. And the numbers are very impressive. It would be the operating cost per hour for electrical aircraft would be around 25%, 30% if compared to a conventional aircraft. And this low cost, we understand that airlines will be able to be more profitable, buy more aircraft, increase their fleet, find the new routes, and then other airports will be able to offer flights, and then people will be able to travel more because the cost is going to be low, and they're going to have more places to go, and then the demand is going to be higher, and this is going to be a cycle, what you call a virtual cycle of prosperity for the society. And but nothing is perfect in life, right? So we have challenges, and the biggest challenge now for the electric aircraft is the battery. The energy density of a battery limits the range an aircraft can fly today. So it depends on the size and the weight. The maximum range goes around 500 miles for a commuter aircraft. However, there is this exponential growth in technology, in the battery technology. So I work in supply chain. I receive at least once a week new, a company reaches out offering this new battery, this new technology. And we need to change POs, for example, because you bought last month a battery, and then there is a new model, and things will change very fast. But right now there is this limitation, but let's take opportunity of that and go to short range regional flights. So according to IATA, 36% of there are 36,000 underused regional airports in the world. Only here in the West, 516 regional airports represent only 20% of all seats available. The remaining 80% are covered by 42 major airports here in the West. So it's too concentrated in large airports. And on top of that, you have all these over 200 new players offering new technology. So we have aviation with electric aircraft. We have all these hybrid companies. You have the eVTOLs, and they are generating new job opportunities and also business opportunities. I would love to receive someone, a woman, leading a company offering their product like fuselage for the aircraft. So I want to pass the to Sharon, but I'd like to emphasize, ladies, there is opportunity out there, and I would like to see you.
Thank you, Paula. I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I agree with you. I think eVTOL is a huge opportunity for growth, not only in the top line OEM companies that we're seeing in the startups, but also the impact on the supply chain and the knowledge sharing on noise reduction, speed, electric power, and technology. So I think it's super exciting. I'd like to introduce Dr. Michael Lynn Thomas, a PhD. So interesting. I could spend 4 hours just speaking with you. If you could tell everyone who you are and what you're working on.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see, I believe the slides will be queued up here in just a moment. Excellent. So yes, my name is Michael Lynn. I work at Virgin Orbit, which is based out of Long Beach, California. And as you can see, I've got some cool pictures here. On the right here, you can see our satellite deployed in space. And on the left, you can also see our aircraft, which I'll talk about here in just a minute, that has just released our rocket. You could go to the next slide, please. Excellent. So just to give you a little bit of my academic and career background, I really call it a constellation. Essentially, you know, I love space. I do all things space. And what you see here is that I've progressed through the academic journey quite a bit. Continuous learning is something that's very passionate to me. So I do have my BA in political science. I also have my MBA. I'm a doctor of education and organizational leadership, and I'm also a spacecraft, space systems engineering, a master's student, or actually I just graduated earlier this year. And so that may seem really strange for a traditional space journey. However, it makes complete sense based on what it is that I've been able to do in the space industry. I did spend the first decade of my career at the Boeing Company, the Satellite Development Center located in El Segundo, California. And based on that, the first 8 years of that, I did many rotations within the finance industry, but I wanted to really progress into program management. So I did that. So that was really, really exciting. And I went from traditional aerospace to the new space or startup culture at Virgin Orbit about 4 years ago or so. And there I'm the head of affordability and continuous improvement, but I also am the executive sponsor for our Teammates for Women Empowerment group. And there, I can't stress this enough. I love the word that's been used, ally and allyship. Women empowerment objectives are for everyone. They are not just for women. Women empowerment objectives really help everyone to thrive. So that's really, really important. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our aircraft and our rocket system. And so really one thing that I want to emphasize is that space launch can be affordable, responsive, and dedicated. You know, if you give me 1 second here, I need to quiet some. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so just reframing here. So our mobile launch pad is a Boeing 747 and it's modified. And essentially, we use this to launch our rocket system, Launcher One. And it's really, really unique because again, you know, we are creating that new normal for space launch. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to show a few additional photos. Again, as you can see, these are live photos in action of our Cosmic Girl, which is our mobile launch pad. After, just on the top left here, after releasing Launcher One, as it's pointing to space, super exciting. We also have a huge suite of ground equipment that we really pack up and take with us to the various spaceports around the globe in order to make this happen. And in the middle there, you can see this is my office. It's really, really exciting to have that. You know, to be so close to the rocket hardware, it's really, really exciting. And then on the left bottom, bottom right there, that is our Hot Fire campaign. And back over to you, Sharon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michaeline. I really appreciate that. I think what you're doing is so exciting. I think the incredible thing about both space and eVTOL is what we saw in the shortening of the development cycle, how fast it was done, right? What a world difference from a traditional development program in A&D would be 10 to 15 years. And y'all are doing it in, you know, sorry, that's my North Carolina, y'all, we're doing it in, you know, 2-3 years. And the race for space, including civilians, right, really getting momentum and passion around it, whereas we wouldn't have seen that in a traditional aerospace development program, right? They're usually done in a sequestered hangar. You don't know anything about it until they're already at first flight. So thank you. I'd like to, if we could, touch on some of the subjects that have come up today. And I know, Dr. Michaeline, this is something that you speak a lot about, is really, you know, encouraging. We heard today 4% of the women CEOs are women, 15% of senior leaders. We know that we can do better, and we know that we have male allyship to help us. In your research, what have you specifically seen in terms of strategies that women have used successfully to get those senior positions?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, while I just want to make a comment, while 4% of women are CEOs, it's even less for women of color. So we have to really drive and move that needle. You know, strategies that have determined success is really leveraging mentorship and really leveraging sponsorship. So mentorship is when you seek guidance from someone who has more experience than yourself in a particular area, but sponsorship is when someone actually puts your name in the hat. And so how do you get there? How do you do that? It's really about building and maintaining relationships. So if you see someone, male or female, that you really want that job or you want to learn more about that job, it's really important to pick their brain, be bold, be fearless, ask for time on their calendar, and really understand what it is that they've done and how they've gotten there and how perhaps they can help guide you. And it's not to say that you need to follow their unique path, but it's to say that it's, you know, you want to try to take and garner as much information as possible while building and maintaining that positive relationship. Also, the second thing that I will say is be authentically you. Do not try to be anyone else. And when you can bring your best, true, authentic self to the workplace and you're honest with yourself, you will accomplish great things. And it's really about allowing passion to guide you. As you saw in my academic and career constellation, I have 4 different degrees in 4 completely different subject areas. And that's because I was genuinely interested in wanting to learn more about that. And each one of those roles have really helped me to get my senior leadership position at Virgin Orbit. And that goes without saying. It sounds simple, but it's not. No. So just really be honest with yourself, be authentically you, and really cling on to those mentors and sponsors.
I would never think that that was easy whatsoever. I think I am absolutely a lifelong learner. I learned that from my dad. I read every single morning, and I think it really does continually keep you interested in what you're doing, right? And I love what you said about authenticity. I think the more comfortable we get in our own skin, the better we present ourselves out for those opportunities, right? It's really easy. It's really smooth when you know who you are and what you want. Paula, what advice would you get? How do we change the game, get more people interested? This is a tough industry for women. How do we get more people interested in aerospace? And how do we get more people to really go after those higher positions?
Yeah. I have two advices. So if you, women or men alike, if you have the experience, apply for the position. I can see that there are hundreds, at least now with new technologies, hundreds of open opportunities, open jobs. So apply. We understand that women usually apply for a job only when they meet 100% of all the requirements, but and men apply with 60%. But let's be courageous. Apply, do it. Now, if you don't have the experience or you want to change your career, come back to school, prepare yourself, specialize. I have this experience. I'm originally a business administrator, and I decided to study a master's degree in aeronautical engineering because I wanted to work in aerospace. And this worked. In fact, was really difficult for me because at the time I didn't have the knowledge in math, and I was studying engineering, and and I had to study really hard. It was really difficult. I had two babies in the middle of my master's degree, but I was able to defend my thesis. And I remember when during the day that I was defending my thesis, I had this insight that anyone can do anything. It's just a matter how much you want it.
Thank you. I agree with you. I heard the comments earlier about being a mom. I couldn't be more proud to have been a working mom through my journey. And I definitely have a daughter who thinks she can do anything, even when that's crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you. I love this panel. Fiona knows that I'm passionate about business transformation and new technologies, and I love learning new things. But what really made me excited is I have two women of color. I have two women. And so when you get these positions, and I have had it said to me is, oh, you only got that position because you're a woman. And of course my answer, because I'm snarky, was, yeah, but I still have to do the work. And I don't really agree that, that's why I got the position. In your roles, both of you, have you had to overcome the perception that you got the position because you're a quote unquote double check on the diversity menu? Yes, I went there.
Yeah.
Sure. I can go ahead and just briefly state yes, yes, and yes. It started ever since I was probably very young. I was told I only got into college because I was a Black female. I was told, oh, you only got that senior position because you're a Black female. And one thing that I do say is that, you know what? People are going to have their comments, and that's fine. But I don't let their negativity make that reflect on me. Imposter syndrome is their problem, not mine. My bosses know my work ethic. That's why I got the job and I have a seat at the table. So if you can rest in that, that's all that matters. And my team at Virgin Orbit is absolutely incredible. Those leaders, we have all worked and earned our seat at that table, and we all understand each other very well. And you want to pick teams and leaders that reflect that, not the negativity.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paula?
Yeah, and in my case, I'm a double minority, considered double minority as well. I'm a woman, and I'm also from Brazil. And working outside of Brazil, I always have this impression that I need to prove every single day that I'm capable to do my job, even though I have a lot of experience, I have a strong education background, but I still need to prove. And I'm there, I'm doing, I'm trying, I'm standing up, I'm there. I'm courageous enough, and I'm pretty sure I can grow even more.
I think that's the key, right? I love your word courage. You know, we have to be courageous. We have to be bold. We have to be confident. And that doesn't always come easy for us. You know, imposter syndrome is real. And I think the more that we support each other and advocate each other, the more successful we all become. It's interesting when we're presented with recruiting opportunities, right? We traditionally go to our network, but our network is that 4%. So I think we have to have different strategies when we are, oh, I'm getting the shoes. When we look, when we look at the recruiting opportunities, how do we make sure that the slates are more diverse? How do we make sure it's more inclusive? I am always going to say hire the best available candidate, but I'm definitely going to make sure that the slate had a lot of diversity in the candidacy and in the interview process, right? So I think I have 1 minute left. I'm going to ask each of you, if you had one thing left to leave with this outstanding group of 400 professionals, what would it be?
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. Again, I think I said it earlier, be authentically you, let your passion drive you. When you bring out your true self, you start to attract people, leaders, and so forth that will help bring the best out in you. So I really challenge everyone to be authentically yourselves, cling on to those mentors, cling on to those sponsors. And, you know, now we have a network of 418 people here. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you have questions, I've got your back. I'm here for you. So I would leave it at that. Be authentically you.
Yeah, my 2 cents is be resilient, courageous, learn from your mistakes, and set yourself goals and go for it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Over to you, Fiona.
Thank you, everyone.